Good afternoon, and welcome to this first ever GetJenny webinar. We are having it here in the GetJenny Helsinki office, and we are using the camera only in the beginning, so when we get to the actual agenda, we will close the video so that you just don't wonder where did it go. So my name is Mikko Hindel, and I work as a digital marketing lead here at GetJenny. I'm really excited to have this first webinar going. And I have here with me
Annu. Hi, everyone. I'm working as a customer success manager at GetJenny, and I'm joining this webinar today to share some practical insights into how to efficiently communicate your chatbot project to your customer service agents and what's a good timeline for running a chatbot project. Happy to have you with us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ilkka Vertanen. I'm the head of sales for GetJenny, and I'm here to give you some insights and information regarding what you should have available or what you should think through before you get started with the project. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, good to have you both here. So let's close the video connection and move on to the agenda slide. So basically, if someone really carefully read our sign-up page, we have a little bit changed the agenda, but the entire idea is to give you a good description of the prerequisites of the chatbot project and then dive into the chatbot project itself. And if you wonder whether we are going to record this session, so we are, if everything goes well, so you will get the material and the recording afterwards. But yeah, let's move on. Ilkka, please go ahead.
So yeah, just briefly to give you context for today's conversation, briefly to introduce the company. So as hopefully everyone knows by now, so we are from GetJenny, and what we do is a human-directed AI chatbot platform for companies to enable their non-technical people. So usually in our context, that would be customer service reps, live chat agents, or service desk workers to independently build, maintain, and deploy chatbots. For example, to increase customer satisfaction, increase sales, collect sales lead, and improve customer experience overall. We work with around 50 different companies from multiple industries, ranging from insurance to banking, to housing, to utilities, to retail, to IT, to mention few. And we work with customers in 5 different countries already. And quite recently, we also raised our seed funding of 2 million euros.
Thank you, Ilkka. I could add that we as well work from Italy to Turin. We have some of our development people in Italy, so in addition to the Helsinki office. So let's dive in. In the first place, why should you have a chatbot working with your customer service team? And Ilkka, I ask you to kindly.
Yeah. So why we are doing why we are in this business comes actually from 3 things that have that are really relevant and have been somewhat changing also in the past few years. So the first one is that we actually nowadays live in a 24/7 world, which means that no matter what kind of industry you are in, your customers have questions, and your customers have questions no matter the time of the day. And it's really kind of the attention span is really short nowadays. So whenever we have something on our mind, we want to find an answer. We want to find it now, whether it's 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. Secondly, is how we want to get that answer. And it changed as well, thanks to smartphones, for example. Our go-to way of communicating is now messaging. And that comes from the way we communicate with our loved ones, friends, and family. And in terms of customer service, that usually means that we expect to be served via different kind of messaging applications, such as customer service live chat on the website. Then finally, a third aspect is that customer service is actually really hard as a job. So the agents who are helping your customers are under constant pressure to meet the kind of a changing customer requirements and being able to deliver them good experience and speedy responses. While at the same time, they feel also pressure from within the company, usually from the management, to meet internal KPIs. And this is really stressful. And so they're stressed and they do repeated tasks all over again. So, and then the combination of these three things leads to you losing money. So your customers are not getting the service or the experience they're looking for, so they take their business elsewhere. And in addition to that, the agents are not feeling well, or they are not happy enough, so they might end up changing jobs as well, which means that as a company you need to find new employees and train them, and again that costs money. So the combination hurts the bottom line.
Yeah, and this is really interesting to me. When I for half a year ago joined the company, I didn't realize that actually how much work we are doing with the employee satisfaction within the customer service space.
Exactly.
And other thing is this reality that even though we have the smartphones with us and we could call with them, we are not doing it on a very constant basis. Yeah.
So if we'll then look kind of from based on the kind of a situation that more and more companies find themselves in, how would a chatbot affect? So there are two things. The first one is that when you implement a chatbot, you can use it to automate kind of simple questions, or most common ones, the most repeated ones. And depending on the industry, that might be even up to 90% of all the questions. And once you automate those, the customers who are expecting basically just for a correct answer and a fast response, they get a good experience. And that's kind of combination where a chatbot really dominates. It's better than us humans. But while, let's say, whether it's 90% you can automate, or 80% you can automate, or 70 or 60% even, it still takes the kind of a huge load off from the customer service reps, who can then focus on different kind of things, things that require expertise, sales skills, life experience, and can use those skills to deliver, again, a good customer experience to customers that require help.
Interesting. And this actually really nicely leads us to the next point we have here, is that the newest public reference case we got from our client, Local Tapiola. And I was so amazed myself when we got this 87% figure that we are automating, or not we, the GetJenny and the Local Tapiola team who has been working with GetJenny has been able to reach this goal. So this is really, really interesting. And like Annu mentioned it some time ago, so they didn't start from this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like none of the customers can actually like right away have the highest 100% response rate. So it requires some work, but based on how our chatbot, for example, can remember the questions that it wasn't able to answer the first time. So it saves them in our user interface. So then the chatbot whisperers, trainers can actually see that, okay, well, this time it wasn't able to answer these questions, but now we can teach it, and next time it will be able to. So it takes some time. It takes some work, but then at the end, as you can see with Local Tapiola, so it's awesome. Yeah. You can actually reach really good results.
That's great. Yeah. So before diving into the project, we want to shortly discuss what are actually the things to consider before the actual project. So, Paul, to you, Ilkka, again, please.
So I think there is one question you really need to be able to answer before you can succeed in a project like this. It's basically the thing what you want to achieve. You need to be able to define that. And then depending on the company, the industry, the situation you are in, it might be anything from improving the customer experience to increasing sales or increasing customer lifetime value, or maybe just managing or reducing the costs. And whatever that goal is, it's something that you need to be able to define. And they are not kind of exclusive. So if you have one clear goal, you still get the benefits, if not from all of the possibilities, but at least some additional ones. But that's the thing. You need to know what to do, and then you work back from there to kind of how you do it. And then when we are looking kind of things of how, for example, you should be defining how your chatbot works with your customer service team, or if it even does. So to give, for example, a few options, one might be that you just implement a simple standalone chatbot on the website who will then help customers to the best capabilities. Or optionally, if you have already live chat operation going, you might want to introduce a chatbot that works together with the team. So it might be this kind of a first line, second line setup. So chatbots handles the conversations to the extent it can, or if there are some kind of a situation such as sales lead that we want to transfer to professionals, we can do that. Or we can take this kind of a turn or shift approach. So humans work the customer service chat during the daytime, the office hours, and after or outside the office hours, the chatbot is there to help the customers. And finally, the kind of you need to also define what kind of changes you're looking for in terms of KPIs, for example, or what kind of things you want to measure when you are implementing a chatbot. So what's the whole impact for the business? And also to the extent, as we will touch upon later, what happens, or you need to be able to collect the information, what would happen in other parts of the business if you would expand from one chatbot to multiple chatbots, for example. Maybe to highlight one more thing, that what we have been seeing really lately that's changing here. My background is in live chat, so I've been working on kind of how to set up a live chat with human agents in the first place years ago. And what I learned then is that there are actually lots and lots of questions regarding the deployment. So what kind of questions our customers have, who are the best qualified people to answer them, how do we organize those people around the chat so it's efficient. And now it looks like that the companies are actually implementing the bot first. So the bot is the one, the thing they try, they put it in the customer contact, and they react on the questions it gets, teach it, improve it. And when they have the numbers and the insights, they build the human operation around it. So they use the chatbot to collect lessons and learnings from the customers, and then they deploy the people. So you might have a customer service team of 10 or 50 people, then you know how you organize those people.
This is what we are actually seeing in-house here, because like when preparing for this webinar, I actually from Annu just recently learned that we are now starting to have more and more those chatbot working independently cases, even though we have started from the integrating with the live chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and I want to one more highlight that it's nice that we had the employee satisfaction there, even though Ilkka mentioned that there can be a lot of like business KPIs in the first place, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted to add, but it's really important to consider the kind of the people working in the customer service as well, because I think, and I think we all share the same opinion, that those people, if your customer service people are happy, that happiness is transferred to customers.
Exactly, yeah. To the employee happiness, the great customer experience is created. Great. Yeah, then we dive into the best practices for a project based on our experience. So
Yeah, I think we can first take a look at the project outline. How, as mentioned previously, this is mostly based on our experience. So we can go through how our projects usually go.
Yeah.
So if we look at this slide here, in the first arrow, we can see this preparation phase. So that pretty much summarizes what Ilkka was just talking about, like all these decisions that you have to make before actually deciding to implement a chatbot and before starting the project. So you have to do the consideration, you have to find facts, you have to do a lot of pre-planning.
Yeah, what we want to offer here to you as audience there through this webinar, for example.
Yeah, exactly. This is one good example of that. But then once that has been kind of decided and thought through, then we, just like other projects as well, we always have the kickoff. So in the kickoff meeting, we, together with the customer, we go through what are the actual goals for the project, what are the roles of the people participating in the project, what kinds of requirements are there. And then once those have been decided, then we start the actual training part. And as you can see here, so usually from week 1 to 4 is spent in training the bot. So that can be, yeah,
and that means in your case that you are working with the customer representatives to actually together train the bot.
Yeah, I mean, it's the customers, of course, who are actually doing the training part, but we're here always to, so we stay in close contact with the customer during the training process, and of course later on as well. But they're the ones who are actually doing the training, so they know what should be taught to the bot. And here then, after those first 4 weeks, then comes the internal testing of the bot, which is a very important part of the process as well, because during that time you can, for example, share or ask your own team, your own company internally to test the bot. And as I mentioned previously, the bot can, like, it saves the questions that I wasn't able to answer. Then the bot whispers, that we call the people training the bot. They'll be able to see that, okay, well, this was asked, bot wasn't able to answer, now we'll teach it, so next time we will be able to answer. So that's why the internal testing is an important part before actually going live.
Understand.
And then at some point, you just need to make the decision that, okay, now we'll go live. So you can, of course, spend weeks and months training the bot, but then it's actually the actual and the most important feedback and input comes from the end users. So those are where the actual questions are then coming in.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good not to spend too much time actually training the bot, but decide that, okay, now it's good enough. We will be able to answer a lot of questions already. And then from here on, it will be continuous improvement. We can improve it, and then we will be able to reach results just like Local Tapiola that we mentioned.
Basically, you mentioned Local Tapiola. They were with 87% automation when they started or went live. So basically, we encourage, based on our experience, to go live early.
Yeah. Well, when the customer feels confident enough to go live, of course. Like, we don't want to pressure, but yeah.
Then there is this one.
Maybe one thing to add or clarify still is that kind of we are now discussing timetable of weeks. And that's kind of something that we see is realistic for a company, because the people involved in the project has their normal day job as well. So this is something that you need to. This is a timetable according that there is no dedicated resources for the project. And it can be done much faster if you dedicate time for training the chatbot.
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
Within 1 or 2 weeks even, or something like that.
Yeah, we've done it.
We've done it.
Then there was like one thing that was in my mind that like somebody in the audience will definitely think as well, is that what about the existing data? Because like many organizations already have customer service data.
That's a really good question. So basically, there is lots and lots of data in a customer service organization. It might be from emails, it might be call logs, it might be like earlier live chat conversations. And having the data is of course good, but based on our experience, for building a successful chatbot, you don't really need to go that deep in the data. And the reason for that is that you can spend quite a lot of time analyzing it, or you can just go to your team, the professionals who do this thing, who do the customer service daily, and ask them, hey, can you name us top 10 questions you get asked? And if you ask this from, let's say, 5 to 10 people, you already have a quite good starting position there. And in addition to that, you can use existing FAQ lists, existing candidate answers from emails to build the starting point for the bot. And also kind of looking the when you have the bot live and you have the bot improving, if we compare the kind of a data-based approach, or how we call it, human-directed approach, where the customer service team reacts in real time, the data looks, in my opinion, it looks kind of backwards, what's been happening, and you're reacting on that. While with the agents training the bot, they look what happens now, and they might even have a hunch what's happening soon in the future.
So that's like a forward-looking approach to it. So you mentioned candidate answers from email. Maybe that might need a short clarification for somebody in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we have seen is that I would say almost any customer service team have something in a different kind of formats that they use constantly. Someone might have a Excel spreadsheet that they use for copying answers. Some others might have a tool for managing existing answers, so they can answer quickly. And and even some cases might be available already in the chat tool, so it's in a good format to be used. So it's something that you can kind of speed up generating the answers to those questions and identifying the questions in the first place.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one more thing to add here is that when, for example, looking at this example project outline here, as we mentioned here that the training takes this and this many weeks, but as we mentioned, we've had a customer, or we had customers who've gone live in 1 week. So that kind of supports the fact that it's usually the coming up with the questions, deciding what you actually want to teach, and how, like, what kinds of questions, what kinds of answers you want to teach, which might take the majority of those 6 weeks. Whereas the training part, the teaching part, is pretty straightforward and doesn't require much technical knowledge. Again, I'm a live
example of that without technical knowledge.
Yeah.
So this apparently seems to be a area we could discuss even more, but like I try to push so that we keep our schedule. So let's move on. So Annu, typical project composition, like who are involved? Yeah,
well, usually there is the head of customer service who's at least taking an active role during the preparation phase. So going through like all this, like what is it that we want to do, and in that phase at least. But then from the kickoff onwards, usually the team consists of a project manager, making sure that everything's going as planned, and then 2 to 3 bot whisperers per bot. So bot whisperers being those people training the bot who have the knowledge, who are experts. So that's the core team, at least based on our experience.
And in our cases, then our customer success team, including you, to support.
Exactly. From our side, it's us then supporting.
Yeah.
Then there's the role of IT,
which is very light.
Yes, exactly.
so for a standard implementation, IT is not required.
Yeah.
Or they might be required to the extent that they might have their questions that they want to have checked for any tool the organization acquires, and also they might be required for actually implementing the chat widget or chat solution on the website, which needs just someone who has access to the website code, nothing else basically.
And then?
Yes. Then we come to this one point, which we've also noticed that sometimes it might be a bit tricky for you to win your current customer service agents on your side when planning a chatbot project. So it can be a bit scary for them. They're used to doing things in one way, or might be, I don't know, scared of new technologies or so on. So they're not sure that what is this chatbot that's coming here.
Yeah.
So there comes the importance that it's from early on, it's really important to communicate clearly the whys and hows we're doing this, or the company's doing this. So making sure that everyone understands the actual reasons behind the process and the project. It's good to emphasize the fact that the purpose here is not to like replace any of the current customer service agents, but as we mentioned a couple of times here, it's actually to allow them to use their time in more meaningful tasks. And actually, when Ilkka was mentioning about his background, I can mention that from my side, I've worked in customer service, and I've been there where I've been answering those repeated questions all over again. And
from day to day.
From day to day, yeah.
Hour to hour,
yeah, and I know that there are times when it really isn't that much fun. So that's why I think that it's very important to emphasize the fact that the purpose of this is not just to improve the customer experience, but to improve your employee satisfaction as well.
Again,
And,
nice.
yeah.
I like hearing that.
Yeah, and also just one more, I think we had one more fact there, that it's also always good to remind them that they are the experts, they have the knowledge. So it's not, no matter who's taking part in the project, but if you're not working with your customers, you might not have any idea what they're actually asking. So emphasize the fact that they are the experts.
That's good. That's good. And now we can go to this, which actually pretty well just sums up what we've been talking about by far.
Yes. It's the human-directed approach. It's the humans behind what's happening. Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
So then, one more thing. Yeah.
Maybe this has to add that we've been discussing the project. So this is just the beginning. This is what it requires for you to get your first chatbot up and running.
Yeah.
And now, or after you have to go live, as said, there's the ongoing improvements for the bot, improving it, getting those business goals met, and then eventually scaling it, for example, to other business units or other languages. So it's a beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it can be a very interesting beginning. Thank you, Annu and Ilkka, at this point. So now we have time for questions. So let's look at, so you can use the Q&A section. So we have one question about, maybe this goes to Annu. Yeah, let's try answering live. So what is ideally the bot whisperer's background? Are they technical people?
No. So they can be, of course. So there is no ideal background, really. They can be IT people, they can be from any area or field of life, but the idea there is that you don't need to have any technical knowledge to be able to train the bot. So the main thing is that you know what the bot should know, what to teach the bot. Yeah,
I would add that if you have an existing live chat up and running, use those agents.
Yeah,
they are the best ones. If you don't have a live chat, then look for customer service agents that, for example, do the email or phone calls.
Exactly.
And maybe one, I don't know if it's a requirement, or at least it's not a strict requirement. Maybe if your team have different kind of profiles, look for those that have kind of a logical thinking in terms of how certain kinds of conversations would go. But I don't know how to define it more specifically.
Yeah, I think that really well summarizes it. So what's there important to remember is that there is no just one kind of perfect background for it. Yeah.
Then there is one question coming about how many conversations can chatbot have simultaneously? like same time? Is there a limit?
What's the limit?
There is a limit at the moment, but then increasing that limit just requires more computing power. At the moment, our solution, and I can only speak for our solution, is that we can reply around 250 questions per second. So that should be quite enough.
Yeah.
Then we have a good question coming in from what is the role of AI in the context of human-directed AI? For example, how is AI applied?
That's actually an excellent question. So the AI it's on the background. For example, there are different kind of AI applications on how to match the customer's question to the ones that or a customer intent to the ones that we have, or what whisperers have taught the chatbot. But in some cases, there are, for example, some people would like or think they would like to have the chatbot learning independently from the customer interactions handled by the agents, so the humans. What we have found is that actually our customers have preferred to keep the control at the customer service team. So everything they teach the bot needs to go and be approved by someone in the team.
Yeah.
And that's just AI is new and they don't want to kind of give free range to the bot. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
To me at least. So I hope it answered to the one who asked about it. So the next one, after the early stage, what does it require to maintain the chatbot?
Well, it kind of depends also on the resources you have available. So for example, how many bot whisperers you have working on it. But our suggestion is that you don't need to spend hours and hours per day with the chatbot, like maintaining the chatbot. But for example, half an hour, few times a week, depending on the resources you have available. So just going through, checking those questions that it hasn't been able to answer, going those through actively, regularly, making sure that you are then teaching the bot those questions. So that's already a very good starting point. And if you are able to maintain an active role there, you are already in like a very good shoes there. But then of course it's good to also talk internally in your team, in your company, because there might be something that you haven't taught before. So from time to time, it's good to also discuss these things internally.
And isn't it the kind of best practice to have more than one people dedicated per chatbot?
Yeah.
So you can even out that workload as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe 2 or 3, maybe even 4 people kind of per chatbot.
Yeah. I think two or 3 is already pretty good, because then the more you have, of course, there's always the risk that then there's gonna be some kind of like layers, and maybe different people are teaching the bot the same question but in a different way, and so on. So
let's go to the next one. Thank you. Do you have ownership of my data, or do you use my data for some purpose? Can you read the discussions we take with our customers? So that.
Well, customers' data is customers' data. We don't read them. The customers' discussions are available for the customers' employees, meaning mostly the bot whisperers.
And then next one from the chat side. I will. Like there is one question about possible partnership discussions, so you can email me, Mikko Hindel, at GetJenny.com, so I forward you to the right person. And then there's a question about bot whisper tools. Have you implemented settings where this can be done from mobile?
So currently our UI is not optimized for mobile use, but the chatbot itself is available for the customer in any channel our customer decides to implement it.
Okay, so actually that I missed this question from coming in the very beginning. What is the typical amount of work that Bot Whisperers should resource per week, for example? But I think we pretty well covered this.
We covered the part at least that what it requires from the time your bot goes live. So of course it's good to remember that depending, for example, how fast you want your bot to go live, it might take more hours at the beginning. So during the actual, like the first training process, it might require you more hours. But then the maintaining part, as we discussed, that really depending on, for example, how many questions you have coming in and so on. So it doesn't require like hours and hours. Maybe if roughly like 2 hours per week, 2 to 5 hours, depending on how much you're working on it. But that already with those number of hours, you can do a good job.
Okay, thank you. I think that's about it. So we will finish in time, which is always nice. So if you have any more questions coming in, so you can like email it to me, because you will get these recordings and like materials after me. So there is only one more thing to do. Next slide. Ilkka, that's I let you.
Okay, yeah. So if anyone in the audience is kind of a more or is interested in kind of seeing how, for example, our tool works, there is a possibility on our website to book a demo. We can do a screen share, and I or my colleagues can walk you through the system and discuss maybe a bit more kind of your specific practicalities on your case to how to get started.
So yeah, basically you find the button on our website navigation, so that directly goes at the moment to Ilkka's calendar, so you can find a suitable time for you there, so it's easy. Thank you for questions, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Annu and Ilkka, for your expertise.
Thank you all.
Bye.